Republicans in the Senate have just added a repeal of the Obamacare individual mandate to their tax reform plan. The individual mandate is a tax penalty that people who do not have health insurance have to pay every year. It is one of the most controversial parts of Obamacare, and Republicans have long targeted it along with the rest of Obamacare as something to be repealed. And after failing to repeal the other elements of Obamacare this summer, they're now hoping they can at least repeal this part as part of their tax reform package. So let's take a look at the individual mandate, what it does, and what the pros and cons of removing it would be. The main reason for repealing the individual mandate is that it seems wrong in an overstep of the federal government's power to require individuals to have health insurance. The Republicans who support repealing it, as well as other Americans who support repealing it, don't believe it's appropriate for our federal government to require us to purchase certain services like health insurance, and think that should be a choice left up to the consumer. And the individual mandate requires us to purchase health insurance. And this is simply contrary to the conservative view of what the role of the federal government should be. Another problem with the individual mandate is that many of the people who end up getting hit with the penalty are low or middle income Americans who are already in a tough financial spot and have chosen to go without health insurance and are now still being slapped with this tax penalty. Additionally, there are a lot of political benefits to this move for the Republicans that they're also trying to achieve. The biggest one is that it's one of the most unpopular parts of Obamacare, making it a lot easier to repeal than the rest of Obamacare. And because they failed to repeal any element of Obamacare earlier in the summer, if they're able to include this repeal in this tax reform bill and pass it here, they can at least say they did something, they repealed part of Obamacare, and make that argument, because otherwise they'll have to go up for re-election in 2018 having full control of the federal government for 2 years and not having repealed Obamacare in any aspect after promising to do that for 8 years. An additional political benefit is that this actually frees up a lot of federal funds, which allows them to reduce the amount of other loopholes they would have to eliminate in order to meet the rules required by reconciliation to pass this through the Senate. So these are the main reasons for Republican support of removing the individual mandate and why they're trying to put it in this bill at this time. However, on the other side, there are quite a lot of problems with removing the individual mandate. The biggest problem with removing the individual mandate is that it's estimated around 13 million people will lose health insurance without it. And here's basically the gist of how that happens. Right now, there are at least some healthy people who are enrolled in insurance programs because of the mandate, and without it would choose not to enroll at all. And these healthy people are paying more into the insurance pool right now than they're taking out, which allows the cost of the insurance pool to go down. Without the mandate, these people would leave, driving up costs. And as those costs get driven up even further, more people start to leave because they can no longer afford health insurance because the costs have gone up. And this is also what saves the federal government money. Currently, the federal government provides subsidies to low-income people who are buying insurance on the Obamacare exchanges. And as these people leave, the federal government will actually save money by no longer having to pay out those subsidies. It's also important to note here that while some people are choosing to leave the health insurance markets of their own accord because they're relatively healthy and insurance is expensive, a lot of these 13 million are going to be forced out by the increases in the insurance markets after those healthy people leave. And this effectively would create the death spiral that Republicans keep saying Obamacare is already in, despite evidence to the contrary. Let us know what you think about the repeal of the individual mandate, and whether you think this should be included in the tax reform bill currently underway, and like and subscribe to learn more.